August is Read a Romance Month, and Club Calvi is kicking it off with one of the most anticipated books this summer. Author Allie Carter is back with a follow-up to the hit book, The Blonde Identity. Her new rom-com is called The Blonde Who Came In From the Cold. Allie joins us now to talk about it. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much.
So it's been 2 years since the first book, which was about a woman with amnesia who discovers she's the identical twin of a spy. This book is about that spy. Tell us about her and the story.
Well, when I started The Blonde Identity, I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to do a sequel. I've kind of had bad luck with sequels in the past, writing wise. And then Alex showed up on the page, and I knew that this was a person that I wanted to spend some time with. I knew this was a story that I wanted to tell. And so I was thinking in terms of, what's a great follow up to a twin with amnesia? And I thought, what if the other twin also had amnesia? And so I ended up doing a little different spin on it this time. This time it's more like Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets The Hangover. And so if a woman who is a total, absolute pro spy, but she gets out of the business and she wakes up handcuffed to the man who broke her heart, and they haven't seen each other in 5 years, and they know that somebody's after them, but they don't exactly know who. And so then we're on sort of a race against the clock to figure out who's trying to track them down and exactly what this person
Okay,
wants.
so your books are romantic, but they're also funny. When do you know when you've hit the right note?
When I've cracked myself up, that's usually a pretty good sign. Also, I just, there's something about the writing process that if something's broken, I can't go forward. And so if I'm having one of those big days and the words are just kind of flying, then that's usually a pretty good sign that I'm doing something right. If, however, I'm walking around my house with about 150,000 post-it notes and I'm making different whiteboards, kind of dance around my living room, then I know I've probably got a problem.
So you started as a writer for teens and middle graders. You said that you tried
Yes.
to make The Blonde Identity a young adult novel. What made you change that to an adult book?
The problem that I kept running into with the YA or even a middle grade version of this story is not necessarily why bad people would be after them, but it's why this teenager would have all of this sort of top secret information. And I had written a series many years ago called the Gallagher Girls series about a top secret boarding school for teenage girl spies. And so I kept kind of that, the YA version of this kind of kept veering into that territory. And I wanted to do something totally different. And so I was on the phone with a friend of mine one day, and she had made the leap from YA to adult. She was like, "Come on in, the water's fine." And I said, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Dust off that old Spy Twins idea, and instead of her being on the run from some super secret organization, she's just a CIA agent. And I was like, wait a second, what if
Bingo.
she's just a CIA agent? And so all of the problems that I had had with that book totally went away when I made them 30. And so that's which is a lesson for the teenagers out there. A lot of your problems will go away when you're 30. You'll have new problems, but those problems will definitely look a little different.
Okay, so on your background, you grew up on a farm, then you went to Cornell and got your master's. Tell me about how your background kind of makes its way into your writing, but also why did you decide to go into writing to begin with?
Well, when I was a kid, my favorite book was The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. And so I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma now. And I was about an hour outside of Tulsa then. And when my dad saw me reading that book, he was like, she's from Tulsa, right? And at the time, I didn't realize, first of all, that S.E. Hinton was a woman. Second of all, that she was from a town about an hour away from where I grew up. And I definitely didn't know that she had written it when she was a teenage girl. And so at that point, kind of became a thing for me that I was like, oh, this is what teenage girls from Oklahoma do is you grow up and you write a book and Tom Cruise stars in the movie. And then, just boom, 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 the path was laid out before me. Of course, it wasn't quite that straightforward. I did do a pretty big detour through the field of agricultural economics, which the Ag Econ to Spy author pipeline is not as crowded as you might think. But it has been really great because I loved my time at Cornell. I absolutely love Ithaca and had a wonderful experience there. And people ask me all the time, like, do you wish you had majored in writing or something that you would use more now. And I was like, no, I'm a small business and I use my AggieCon background all the time in managing my small business. And so I don't regret any of those steps.
Well, Allie Carter, all the best with the book. The Blonde Who Came
Thank
In From
you.
the Cold is out on August 5th.